So good morning, everyone. I hope you are all energized after the coffee break. I'm Chloe, and I'm currently a second-year PhD student at the School of Information System at UNSW. And my topic is around digital sustainability and sustainable digitalization in the AEC sector. So my work falls under the management lab. And you probably have seen this, from Lisa's and Christian's presentation from yesterday. So for my work, it will focus on co-designing for digital transformation and sustainability with the focus around business and systems. So here will be the agenda for my presentation. And just to kickstart, I think the question should not be who have seen this, but who have not seen this, because it's I think it came up like 5 or 6 times yesterday alone, and I'm sure you have seen it like before this one and after this presentation as well. So the question is, what do they have in common? So essentially, you can break this down into 2 groups. One would be sustainability focused priorities, and the other one would be like digital focus, which focus on like productivity and efficiency. So sustainability and digital transformation are not like new in our discussion, but the question is, why aren't we at the place that we want to be right now? When you combine technology and sustainability, a lot of issues or like challenges arise. So I will give just some, I will just talk about some of them. So one is when you look at sustainability, it's kind of like, it has a long-term nature that requires strategies and planning commitment as well. But how we operate in the sector is more like project-based. And for project, it's more short-term focus and focus on efficiency, resource focus. So that creates some tension and potentially some competing priorities. And then another example of issue relating this problem is fragmented systems. So you might leaning towards like relying on legacy system, or on the other side, which is focusing on project-specific systems that is neither sustainable nor cost-effective to redesign or rebuild. So those are just to name a few of the challenges when you combine technology and sustainability. So for my approach, there are a couple of ways that you can combine technology with sustainability. One way that you have heard from other presentation is digital sustainability. So for digital sustainability, the focus will be on having sustainability as the goal, and then you have technology as the tool to support the sustainability initiative. But let's not forget the other side of the equation, where you put technology as the main focus, and then the question is then become how to make that technology sustainable. How can you let it make it consume less resources? How to make it like resilient and agile to account for future requirements? So that is what we call sustainable digitalization. And for my research, I tackled this with 3 studies. Study number 1 will be focusing more on design. So for the design for sustainability, where the technology will be used as the tool, and then study number 2 will be focusing on how to create sustainable design. And lastly, will be study number 3, where we combine the two the 2 sides of the equation and make it into like convergent transformation. So I will be talking about each of the study now in more detail. So study number 1, as I mentioned, will be focusing on digital sustainability. And the things that I want to investigate in this study is to investigate the tensions arising around introducing sustainability practices. So the question here is, like for example, how do companies frame the strategy regarding sustainability to the project teams? Because for project team, they are very busy, they have a lot of deadlines and requirements. So at what point should you discuss sustainability discussion, and how do you decide, or how do you plan to adopt a technology solution so that it will be well adopted and well used by your project team? So that is my goal for study number 1, and this will be a case study with Architectus. So we have finished data collection round 1. We are working on round 2 data collection as we speak, but just a summary on round 1. So we interview people from different departments, different level. For example, principal level would be sustainability, like management level board, and then also the people who are more technical. Oh, it stopped working. The people who are more technical, like the working group, as well as like the project team, who are like at the implementation level, who will be implementing this. So from here, this is a work in progress. We identify what kind of priorities and frames that each of the group have, and from the interview so far, what we observe is that there is a mismatch, or like a misalignment between the sustainability lead, the technical people, and also how the project team see it. Because, for example, like at the principal level, their focus is more like strategy. How do you comply? How do you include this as a good compliance? And how do they kind of like emphasize the responsibility of the designer? But for research team, they focus more on efficiency, and we also identify the mechanism of how the company have been trying to bridge this gap. And so for this study, currently I'm conducting more interviews for round 2, and we are currently at around 20 interviews, and this number will continue to grow into October, where we have planned more interviews. And then the deliverables of this project would be a framework or a process model into how do we create a sustainability strategy. And then at the end, there will be the evaluation with industry level practice. So yeah, hopefully by mid I think like June or something next year, we will have your participation as as we send out this to evaluate. So for study number 2, looking into sustainable digitalization, the question that I want to target for this study would be how to design future-ready system, how to make it agile enough, and how can we make it adaptable for future requirements. So this study is like a crossroad between future studies, which is a theory that look into the future, and design science research, which is a method that we use in information system a lot. Oh, okay. So for example, if you look into the future, there are different ways you can look at it. It's not just one way. So for example, if you look at the future from like a perspective of the future is a continuation of the present, or like the future cannot just begin, then what you do is you have possibilities, and you want to, based on like historical data, based on the trend, you try to narrow it down. You can use like probability calculation to narrow down your approach. So that is one way of thinking about the future. The other way is more like looking into the future from the present, and think about how it can expand, and what are the it's more like imaginative future. So for this approach, you will use techniques like scenario planning to frame your system. So based on these ideas, what I propose right now is like a framework and guidelines for what we call design foresight. So this is these are the guidelines and the steps that we recommend. And this is still a work in progress, so we are still refining it and trying to evaluate it. And for this study, what you have seen is the framework and the guidelines. And then what I'm doing now is I'm designing a system which is a sustainability analytics system that's focused on sustainability reporting. So we look into Global Reporting Initiative, GRI, and UN SDG to analyze their report. So that is what is my progress right now for study number 3, and study number 2, sorry. And then jumping into study number 3, this would be an action design research, and the end result of this would be like a protocol, a prototype system for solving sustainability system with sustainable technology. And currently we are in the process of discussing engagement with architects on this. It is also possible that we will include more than one industry partner for this study. And in the end, we'll also come back and evaluate the system with a broader range of practices. So this will, I plan this to be from early next year to late next year. So within 1 year to wrap up this study. And so to recap, this is what my research is about. The 3 studies focusing on not just digital sustainability, but also sustainable digitalization. And what we are calling is, we're calling out for collaboration for co-design, as well as evaluation at the industry level. So why should you participate? So first one, it would be, you will gain the early access and custom fit. So your requirements will be the first that we consider when we build the framework or like the system. And secondly, you can have a look around to people around you and have like a more comparative level of like what are people doing, regarding the same challenges. And finally, you will help shape the practice, what would be the future requirements, future processes for the sector. Yeah, so thank you so much, and I'm looking forward to questions and comments.
Keep going. Do we have any questions from the audience?
Hey Chloe, thank you very much for that. It's really exciting and it's an incredibly vital piece of work. I think, when you discuss around industry partners and architects and how they're approaching sustainability and how they can better improve that, there is a bit of an elephant in the room around that, which is our clients. That we are generally at the mercy of if a client is willing to go down a particular direction, do they want to pay for it, all of that. I mean, unfortunately, I think we would gladly push, the most sustainable strategy on every project of ours, but they do come at cost, and so it's whether the client wants to pay for that. So I think as part of these studies and these engagements, I think there needs to be that lens cast on it. How can this, obviously it's how it benefits the industry, the organisation itself and the industry as a whole, but how do you bring clients along with that? And so I think it'd be worthwhile thinking how you can actually have conversations with them, understand their priorities, what are their drivers, how can these particular studies actually benefit them directly. We have this conversation a lot, and it's, if I'm being totally honest, it's not something we've totally cracked. Because otherwise we wouldn't be having these conversations, we'd already be doing it. But I think it's incredibly exciting the way that you frame this and the way that it can be taken forward. I just think we need to think how it can have the biggest impact. I think Chris mentioned earlier that we keep talking about impact. We need our clients to be on board to have that impact.
Yeah, so I think it's quite along the same line of what I get from the interviewees. So I think a lot of them, in all interview, we get the insights that the clients, they might not want to push this, and we need to stick to the brief. So I get that. I think I think there are 2 levels to how we approach this. one is that I think I remember in one of the interviews, somebody say that, so if the client doesn't want this, then do we do it? And then the second question is like, if we do it, but we don't record it, then how do we know if we are doing it? And it's like Strava. So I think what the approach that I'm taking right now is think about like, this has come up quite new. Just recently when I got off one of the interview earlier this week, that they say that actually there could be, because right now what the companies usually look at is once they have finished the discussion with the client, and then they look internally, what can they do with sustainability? But some participants suggest that it can happen prior to, so like it can happen within the discussion with the client. So can we have somebody from the firm who has like sustainability like expertise to be there and helps like explain and convince? So of course, like it might not be 100% that people will follow that, but like at what point do we introduce the discussion? That is one thing. The second thing is, what if eventually the client doesn't want to push this? Maybe like they really want to focus on efficiency. Then is there anything that we as like one practice can do it? Like what, or like just raising the benchmark here? It might not be so low. It can be like in the middle, 50-50 or something like that. So that is part one. Part two, I think exactly what you say is that we need to involve the client in the conversation, because it's easier to get them to be more proactive than we just keep chasing them. So I think if possible, I would like to extend like my study number one to include the client. So I think if there is time for it, I would really love to really get to that point, because I know that is something, or that is like the major barriers to how we approach sustainability in the AEC. So that would be something, even though I don't write it here, but it's possible, and if I have time, I would love to go to that end.
Thank you for the presentation. I just want to talk about the second half, sustainable digitalization. I explored this area before. It's very interesting. Different organizations have a different effort of promoting digital innovation, how much they want to invest in it. And that led me to go through something called organizational culture. There is frameworks, I think 10, 12 frameworks that depicts the culture of this organization based on the artifacts, little details, even the language spoken, the appreciate. So that leads to organizational culture that support digital innovation. You may visit this.
Yeah, I think it's tied closely to, I think both because I've seen, because like when you have a tool, for example, for like like you are talking about digitalization, right? But on the other equation as well, I've also seen like how people would like to adopt the tool or not. So I think culture like play a big part. That's why I feel like for my studies or like my research, I would love to get to know people and interview them, and because I feel like in that way I can understand the culture of the company better.
Hey, you had a slide about your design foresight stuff, and I thought it was really interesting that you kind of jumped over it quite quickly. The one after that. And am I right in thinking this is something you're developing?
Yes.
Could you talk a bit more about it?
About the system, or like about the
sort of framework, I guess.
Okay. So for this study, there will be two steps to it. So design, science, research. So the first step for me would be to develop the framework, and right now I'm relying on like the futures theory, as well as like the other side, which is the IS like lit review. So I'm developing this. I'm developing this and trying to incorporate like future or like future preparation in each of the steps when we design the artifact or the system. In this case, it would be more of like academic contribution. But then what I do after I get this one is I go into like applying this theory, applying this step into designing like a system. So in that case, I will be giving detail about in this context for this specific use of the system, then how will this look in the case? Because the system that I'm building is like it's focused on analyzing sustainability reporting. Yeah, so I will analyze if we want to look into the trend and like the historical data, then what like on how can it be visualized, you know, through the system for that purpose. And you know, the same thing for scenario planning. So all of these principles will be applied, you know, based on the context of the system. Yeah.
Do you think it's applicable to other questions other than sustainability as a kind of general framework?
Yes, it is. Yeah. So it's the goal is like having a future ready system, but then. The usage is like, okay, we can adapt this to, you know, certain usage. Yeah, in this case, what I picked is just analyzing the sustainability reporting, but this can definitely be used in other cases.
Thank you for the presentation. Just again, I'm coming from a construction background and seeing sustainability in AEC sector.
Yep.
Just wanted to ask, and also to add up to you looking at the clients. I saw that you wanted to interview the architects, and I want to say that how architects, engineers, and construction personnel see sustainability is quite different. And you saying you interviewing only architects.
Yep.
I don't know how that applies to the AEC industry. So I wanted to just pick your brain on what specifically do you mean when you say AEC industry?
Yeah, so thank you for your question. Actually, for study number one, my focus is more like on the A industry because I know that how you consider sustainability will be different across like the three industries. So study number one will be focusing more on like the A industry, but like the AEC sector, I think will be more visible in study number three, where I'm thinking about like collaborating with more than just, you know, architectural firms. So that is still pending for next year. So and I think it also takes a bit of time to engage people. So I use this as like a chance to, you know, to gauge like interest. Yeah, so that would be more towards study number three in this case. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And also another question. Again, my background is in sustainability, and we do have mainly three pillars of sustainability: environmental, social, economic. And I didn't see, you know, any mention of what specifically you are doing when you say sustainable digitalization or digitalization sustainability. What specifically are you looking for? What kind of questions are you asking?
So for study number one, the approach is the case study. So usually what we do with case study is that we'll have some theory in mind, but when we talk to people from that insight, then we, you know, narrow down, you know, the question and the case. So it's like the case will shape our findings. In this study number one, I would say it would be the general sustainability strategy. But I think as I interview more people, I realized that on one side, the sustainability committee, what they want to, among the three pillars, what they want to push is environmental. But from some people, when I pick up from their answer, what I get is that some people actually say that it's not aligned with how they think about sustainability. For them, social should go first because it's something more visible to them. So I think before we dive into like which pillar are we talking about, we might need to think about like how do we prioritize them and how do we send it out like as a message to the practice to the firm. Yeah, so that is the level that I'm approaching. So not yet into each of the pillars specifically, but one layer before that about how they form the strategy and the roadmap for implementing initiatives for each of the pillars.
Thank you very much, Chloe. That brings us to time. So can we give Chloe a round of applause, please?
Thank you.